Hello, everyone. I am Salem with Chip Theory Games, and I am here to talk about the Graft. What's up with the Graft? What do they do? Do they do things? Let's find out. To kind of recap, I think I briefly talked about the Graft the other day on Tuesday. Just like sort of a small snapshot, but of course I started talking a bit longer, and so Gilly had to cut me off. So now he's not here. We kicked him out, so he can't cut me off. So the main thing about the Graft is sort of as we sort of tease in the story, they are this singular organism that has existed dormant in the Isles of Angar throughout the period of this war. But because the war has sort of been destroying the landscape and sapping the source from its like natural roots and everything, what would normally keep this creature docile and sort of in a state of perpetual hibernation, it's now coming out because it's hungry. And it's like, I need to eat things. It is a sort of an unfeeling organism. So unlike the other factions in this game, it is not led by a leader in the typical sense. It does have a nucleus, but as the name would suggest, it's literally just because that's the center of this big sort of cellular structure that this faction is. So that actually, to sort of start off by talking about what makes the Graft unique, I think I will start with nucleus itself, because that is sort of, as the name would suggest, the sort of central focus point of everything. So nucleus is your starting hero. It also starts out deployed in Wave 1. It's very similar to the Uprising in that during setup, when you would normally place like a Waygate, for example, as the Uprising, you place nucleus with its starting HP on your starting isle. I'm seeing some movement here, and I just want to make sure I'm not needed for anything. You're just messing with stuff?
Just ignore me unless I talk to you.
Okay, I will. I can do that.
Just like normal.
So anyway, nucleus is starting hero. We'll start on your starting isle. I have a solo scenario set up here. So of course that'll work a little bit differently. It'll tell you where to put nucleus at the start instead of when you're playing a PvP game. You'll sort of rotate your starting isle and then place nucleus accordingly. What's also unique about nucleus is your fortress gate. So simultaneously it is treated as a hero and it's treated as a fortress gate. So of course that does mean there always has to be a path connecting nucleus to every other possible mark. So no effect can, put nucleus outside of that normal area. So that does actually mean certain things where you could normally maybe use a talent to move a hero to an otherwise irreachable area, like Wallop, for example, the Grove Tender Spire skill. That could never function on nucleus insofar as to say you can't put nucleus somewhere that it doesn't connect the mark. It just that. Sort of like you can't place Earthscapes to block. So what's the advantage of having a mobile fortress gate? Well, it allows you to sort of really manipulate the landscape to a much stronger degree than what you can do with a conventional fortress. So, for example, if you're buying a bunch of Earthscapes, you can really move nucleus to the sweet spot, so you can place a bunch of Earthscapes to shape this winding path that forces your opponent to go through all of your spires. You can also hop over, I'll get to it in a sec, there is a limitation on how much you can do this, but you can also hop over certain parts of the terrain to sort of force the enemies to go one way and then have to backtrack to go back the other way. And then, of course, you can also play it hyper aggressively. You can literally just push nucleus up, encroaching across the map, so that your deployment is coming out right outside the enemy gate. Of course, there are weaknesses to having a mobile fortress gate, namely, your fortress gate is targetable by every single spire in the game, assuming it has attack upgrades, I guess. So normally, if you're only against the Brahmin, it's like, okay, they could have a siege tower, they could use rays on your fortress gate. That's a bad thing. But this guy can get hit by any spire. So, of course, there's the danger of not getting swarmed by spires, making sure you are on top of your own source wells, watching out how quickly the enemy's spire influence is spreading, and always having an escape plan for nucleus. Now, granted, there are some things that make Nucleus a lot more tenacious than a typical hero. It does have a few skills here. It's got one skill, it's got one range, which, of course, doesn't do anything on its own, but will allow Nucleus to gain range upgrades. It also has a skill called Bio-Indefinite, which is probably the thing that's going to keep Nucleus alive the most. It's very similar to Hardy in the Too Many Bones line, or Stalwart, which is going to be in the Elder Scrolls game. It can't lose more than one HP chip at a time. So if a Royal Talon comes up to Nucleus and hits it, only going to lose 1 HP despite the Royal Talon's attack stat being 3 or 4 if it's upgraded. So that's going to be huge. It's going to keep you alive. Also, in the rules of Nucleus, it retaliates like a Fortress Gate would, which means it will always retaliate every single time for 1 damage, regardless of range, multiple times per turn. So it'll also... You don't have to worry about like getting swarmed by a bunch of enemies and you only get to take out one at a time and you're just going to be dead by the time you finish them all off. The final skill on here, and this is another part of Nucleus's survivability, is one called Motility. And how that functions is, so Nucleus has a health stat, of course, so it's going to be represented by chips. This also then represents your Fortress Gate health. So you start off with 7, so you have a Fortress Gate health of 7. When Nucleus promotes, that goes up to 10. So you can get to the standard 10 Fortress Gate health, but you have to do it in a little bit different approach. You do start a little bit weaker as far as Fortress Gate health is concerned. But that doesn't mean this chip's not used. So we actually use the health tracker chip instead to track motility. Which is this spendable resource that you get. You get a certain amount at the start of each wave, and then you can spend that on different abilities to allow Nucleus to survive. That includes increasing your terrain allowance for that turn to forest. So normally Nucleus can only go on path. This bumps that up. Of course, there is still the rule, have to be connected to a path. That's all still true. But you can use this to sometimes cut through different spots of the land, or if you want to hop on to a spot so you have a bit more of a defensive position, things like that. You can also spend 2 motility to increase your movement stat by 1. And you can actually do up to 2 different motility effects in a turn. So you can, normally Nucleus only moves 1. This would let you move up to 3. So if you really need to zip away, you can do that. Or if you really want to do like, you move Nucleus before you deploy units out of it, you can use that to rush up, then swarm something in particular. It's a really cheeky strategy. It's going to take players a while before they realize they have to account for that when playing against the Graft. So just watch out for that. If you ever see Nucleus just 3 hexes or so away from something really nasty, that might be coming up. So that's the main thing about Nucleus. There is some more stuff we'll get into when we get into the spires, because it has a connection to how some of the spires work, as well as, of course, the fortress advancements. But that's the main sort of premise of Nucleus being both a hero and a fortress gate. Next, to dive into the rest of the barracks, of course, these are all prototype components. I know we're not going with this lime green for the final version. I think they're going to have more of like a purplish pink that sort of is similar to the look of Nucleus, like that sort of very colorful soap bubble kind of look. And then, of course, a lot of these don't have any art on them because they are just prototypes we've been using. So to jump into the other 2 heroes that they have, in addition to having a bunch of like these grafted creatures that that they've absorbed over the course of their time coming back up from the surface, they also have developed a sort of symbiotic relationship with a group of parasites living inside. So as you would to expect in any large organism, there's likely going to be some kind of parasites living within. These ones are just particularly nasty. Is a bunch of worms, and very much so different than the Greege. The Greege are like larvae and bugs. These are more akin to tapeworms, like really just unpleasant parasites. So one of their heroes is the Fury Worm, which is one of those worms, but in a hero form. And I'll get into one of the unique details of all of the worm units in a sec here. The other hero is actually a named character, is Graft Lord Nestor, or Graft King Nestor. I have to confirm with Ryan which one it's supposed to be, but it is actually the King of the Airs. So we really wanted to have kind of like a, oh, dang, oh my gosh, this faction is sort of really changing the story of this world. And so I remember asking Ryan in the early stages of Graft design, he's like, is there any named character we could like canonically have get consumed by the Graft? And he gave me a character that was so much cooler than I thought I was going to get, and that is the King of the Heirs. So one of your heroes is actually a grafted version of that king. This is Jaelana Nestor's brother, so the tier 3 hero of the heirs. And it has flying, as you would expect from an heirs hero. But on the backside, it has a new skill called Dispirit, which is almost like the exact opposite of Keem's Rally, which Rally is when it defeats a unit or a spire. All air minions within 2 hexes, I think, promote. They flip to their promoted side. Dispirit is after Graft Lord Nestor defeats an opposing unit or spire. All opposing minions within 2 hexes depromote. So you can even just deprive like the Greed from an involved minion, or the Brahmin from their promoted units, anything like that. It is very fun to watch happen because it can fundamentally shift how the rest of the wave pans out. So those are the heroes. Next are the units, and this is one of the things I briefly talked about on Tuesday, is that they have versions of units that have already existed. So they have a Warbriar, a Joust, an Aegis, and a Messiah. And those are all from the 4 base game factions. And these chips are going to be identical to their original, of course, with different art because they are grafted versions of them. However, on their promoted side, they will gain the talent of one of the other units in that sort of cycle. So the grafted Joust gains Impale from the grafted Warbriar. And it still keeps its Quick Strike. So then the promoted grafted Joust has Quick Strike and Impale. The grafted Aegis has Armored, as it would, being an Aegis, but then also gains Quick Strike. The Warbriar has Impale, as it would on his promoted side, and then gains Immolate from the Messiah. And then the Messiah itself here has Immolate and Healing. We did take off, I believe it's Prophecy. I think that's the one thing that we removed, which is the one where opposing units don't get source from its reward. I can't remember the 100% text on it, but we took that one off. So it's just Immolate and Healing. But then when it promotes, it gains Armored. So you have a healing minion with Immolate, which, for those who don't know, Immolate is when it reaches the opposing fortress gate, it explodes and deals damage to that fortress gate equal to its remaining health. So you typically want to take these guys down pretty quick, but they have healing, so you have to make sure you're constantly hitting them. Then, all of a sudden on this promoted one, it has Armored, which means all incoming damage when attacked is reduced by 1. So it's doubly difficult to take this thing down. So you do not want the Graft player to get their hands on a promoted False Messiah. The last 2 minions are the other types of worms. So there are the Rotten Worms. These are kind of like your, for example, the Harriers in the Heirs faction are just 1 CP. You can almost always throw out a couple of them to round out your command point spending. The Rotten Worms kind of do that as well. They also only cost 1. However, these guys are especially weak. They only have 1 health, only 1 attack. Very, very weak kind of trash units, to sort of use a genre term. They are just meant to sort of be very intentional cannon fodder. So that's really good at taking a hit from a landmark, so then you can attack with your more precious units without retaliation, things like that. The Spitting Worm, however, is actually the farthest range unit in the game. On its base side, it has 4 range, which is equivalent to the promoted Source Siege. Of course, it only deals 1 damage, so it's not quite on the same level as the Source Siege in that regard. But 4 range, air defense. On its promoted side, that bumps up to 5 range. Again, it still keeps that 1 attack, and it's got very low health. So it's still not going to be as perhaps as beneficial as a promoted Source Siege, in that you can start removing fortification upgrades, you can get through Armored, you can get take out a lot of units with that 2 attack. 2 attack is such an important breakpoint in this game. So the Spinning Worm does have that drawback, but being able to ping opposing enemies from 5 hexes away or get into range of your opposing Fortress Gate and just hit it a few times, very, very huge. The last thing that makes all of the worms unique, and this is true of the Rotten Worms, the Spitting Worm, and the Fury Worm, is they all have a new talent called Infest. And how Infest works is anytime on your turn, except during that unit's active movement, so you can't stop your movement to trigger this, you can infest an opposing ungrouped unit. Typically it's just minions, but you can get it so you can eventually infest heroes. When that happens, you actually put your worm chip into their chip stack. And while that worm is in their chip stack, they're going to start to take damage every time they attack. So it's different from retaliation. It doesn't matter, like if you have multiple infested units and they attack somebody, they're all going to take that damage because they're all uniquely infested. And then if you manage to defeat the unit with that infest damage, you get the source. So if you're playing a 3 or 4 player game and it attacks somebody, takes retaliation, and then suffers the damage from infest, and it dies, you get that source instead of maybe the player that otherwise would have likely gotten it if it didn't die in that scenario and they get another turn. Additionally, Infest can also deal damage upon triggering, depending on how powerful it is. So it is an Infest number skill. So there's Infest 0, which is on the Rotten Worms, where they're just there to infest. They're not actually going to deal additional damage. But the Spitting Worm has Infest 1, and the Fury Worm has Infest 1 and then Infest 2 on its promoted side. So you can actually get some initial point of contact damage as well. The other sort of understated benefit of infesting is you deprive your opponents of getting source rewards from those units as well. So sometimes it can be really nice to get some value from the worms. Perhaps they're helping you take down some landmarks, or they help take down a spire, and then you can infest something at the end of all of that so that your opponent can't clean up on the very low health units. Next, we're going to go into the spires. So as most factions in this game, the Graft have access to 4 different spires, 2 of which they're sort of a promoted, which they have to unlock a fortress advancement in order to build. So unique thing about all of the naming conventions of these spires is they're all named after organelles or pieces of the cell. Because for the Graft, for their design, we went for a very cytoplasmic approach. We wanted to make sure to distance itself from other forms of a creeping kind of presence. The first thing that came to my mind when I was originally pitching this, and we're like, okay, we don't want it to look like that, is the Venom symbiote, for example, which is this kind of webby slime, like a black slime. So we're like, okay, well, let's go in a different direction. Let's go cellular, because that allows us to really lean into this whole graft and duplication and splitting and fast, rapid evolution. So for the 4 spires, we have the mitochondria, the endoplasmic reticulum, the Golgi apparatus, and the cytosol, which is sort of just like the cell plasma. As far as what a lot of these spires have, they have a new talent called Organelle, fitting name given their titles. And I don't know if you can quite see this. I don't know the best place to put this chip to show off. This one? Where does it go? Right here?
A little further.
Yeah, I need help.
I need help.
Help me.
Let's just get a really close guy here. There you go.
There we go. All right, so as you can see on there, the chip has an X at where it normally have starting upgrades. And that is because Organelle says that its starting upgrades are going to be equal to whatever Nucleus currently has. So if Nucleus has an attack upgrade and a range upgrade, that is what the mitochondria will get. If Nucleus has an attack upgrade and a fortification, it'll get that instead. If Nucleus has some of the new ones, like one of the the new spire upgrade that does that extra retaliation kind of damage, or air defense or something, then the spires will get those upgrades as well. Now, that is just at the point of construction. So if Nucleus gains an additional upgrade later on, that is not going to immediately increase the potential of your spires. It is just at that point of construction. So there are obviously pros and cons to this.
One quick question.
Yes.
I'll come in
Okay.
at some point to bug you with questions.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer questions.
This one, just as you're talking, is there a way for people to read along about these abilities as you're talking, or?
I mean, I
Probably
don't.
not right now.
I don't think so. I don't know if we uploaded any of the reference sheets or anything like that.
Okay. That's fine.
Unfortunately. So, but if you have any questions, of course, let me know.
Okay.
Yeah, that I don't think that's my call entirely. I don't know.
I wouldn't guess. Yeah.
No. Anyway, yeah. So pros and cons of that sort of skill. If you get some good upgrades on Nucleus, all of your spires get that. Now, of course, another thing too that's unique about their spires are pretty cheap, especially the mitochondria and endoplasmic reticulum. They only cost 2 source, and there is a way to then have that 2 source be able to build a spire with up to 3 upgrades. Because on Nucleus's promoted side, it has an upgrade capacity of 3. And that can just really ramp up your spire potential in the end game when you get Nucleus very powerful. The downside, of course, though, is if you're having a hard time getting Nucleus's upgrades, you're kind of deprived of a lot of your spire presence. They do have 1 spire that has starting upgrades as normal, but it's one of the promoted ones. It costs 4, and it's an attack and a fortification. So it's not exactly the most powerful spire from a defensive standpoint. So that is something that the Graft player has to take into account. Additionally, there is that bit where you're fully upgraded on your base side. You have 2 upgrades, and then Nucleus gets a last hit on something, and then you have to ask yourself, well, I can build spires right now. I have 2 upgrades. I can maybe have an attack and a range. That's a pretty good upgrade array for a spire that only costs me 2 source. In fact, that's really good. But it could be better. And so you kind of have to ask yourself, do I want to promote and lose those upgrades, meaning I can't build spires until I get another, or do I just leave it here? Additionally, too, upgrading Nucleus brings your health to 10, so it gives you essentially 3 gate health right then and there. So it's a little bit of a question to be asked every time you're at that part of the game. The other very sort of important thing of the spires is the spires are how your minions promote. So all of the spires, with the exception of the Golgi apparatus, have a talent called Absorb with a number after it. And that is when one of your minions is defeated within a certain number of hexes of the spire, so whatever the number is, you can actually place that unit under the spire where it will be treated as essentially a fortification upgrade that only takes 1 damage to remove. So it can tank a hit, but it's not going to provide any other benefit to the spire. However, when that unit is removed from the spire, it is essentially getting recycled back into the graft, and it will go back into your barracks on its promoted side. And for the rest of the game, unless an effect says otherwise, of course, but for the rest of the game, that unit will be on its promoted side every time you deploy it. So there's a little bit of importance in getting those spires constructed as soon as possible, and having them in a place where your units are going to be getting defeated, so that they can get onto your spire. And then, of course, you also want to make sure your spires are threatening enough that your opponent will want to attack them, because every time they attack them, they know, all right, I'm kind of giving you promoted units when I do this, so I want to try and see if I can avoid that. But sometimes if you can just get a good spire in the right place, they're like, I have to take out this spire. Additionally, too, because minions have to attack, you can definitely sort of orchestrate different spots where you're essentially forcing their hand, and they have to attack your spire and giving you your promoted units back. There is also an ability Nucleus can get to sort of force that, where Nucleus itself can destroy spires to promote the units in it back to it, but I'll get to that in the Fortress advancements. So that's the sort of rundown on the Spires and what makes them unique. Of course, they have some of their own unique talents as well, including one where when your Spire defeats an opposing unit, you get to absorb it under it like the absorb mechanic. And until they hit that Spire and remove it, it's effectively captured. Things like that. All right, and then so lastly, I think we will jump into the reference sheet here, which I have a very early prototype sort of version. But I'll just quickly go over some of the features that the Graft can unlock. So they have one all about sort of increasing the potential of their rotten worms and infest as a mechanic. So there's one where every time a infested unit is defeated, you gain 2 source regardless as to how. So even if it's not defeated by infest damage, you still get it. There's also one where units lose 2 HP instead of 1 when they're infested. There is another one that's all about sort of dealing with enemy heroes. It comes with the Rancor die, which is a counter. I just have the Horizon's Wrath one here. Every time one of your units is defeated by an opposing hero or Spire, you get to tick it up. And that at any time when you are attacking an opposing hero or Spire, and this is with any of your units, you can decrease it by that amount to increase the attack stat of the unit attacking. So if you can build this up, you can really use it to just get up next to an opposing hero and take them out in one fell swoop. Or it's really helpful to get rid of those fortification upgrades on Spires, because if you have the Spitting Worm that only deals 1 damage and you've got some value on the Rancor die, you can tick that down from time to time to get rid of those. It also lets you infest heroes is the other ability here. There's 2 different sort of buildings that increase your ability to your like potential Spires. One, which is the one that has all 4 of these, the Gene Shaper, that one is more conventional. It's like you can now build your promoted Spires. When you build one of the promoted Spires, Nucleus can actually heal for 1 HP. There's one where when you construct a Graft Spire, you can spend additional source to immediately upgrade that Spire without taking an additional like build action. Also, too, a lot of these Spires don't have an upgrade capacity, so that allows you to bypass that as well. And then the last one is another one of their faction dice that they get to roll every time one of their Spires attacks. Again, that'll make their Spires more nasty, encouraging your opponents to attack them more, which of course then gives you promoted units. And then the last 2, we have the sort of the gate port, or the Graft port, as we've called it, because we can't resist a dumb pun. So because the Graft is like this unfeeling, unconscious organism, we sort of felt it wouldn't thematically make sense for the Merc units to fight for them. So, as just sort of a standard rule, you can't deploy any Merc units that you might acquire. They simply will not fight for you because they're like, you're a terrifying, unfeeling organism. I don't care if you have like source to give me. I'm not fighting for you. Their first advancement in this one is neurochemical hijack, which essentially is it allows your worms to infest their brains so that they fight for you. So it lets you deploy Merc units as normal. However, it comes with the added benefit or detriment, depending on how you see it and how you use it, where all of the Merc units then have to be grouped with exactly 1 rotten worm. And if you don't have a rotten worm or you don't have the command points to spend on the rotten worm, you won't be able to deploy it. However, what makes that unique, though, is that even includes heroes, which allows you to group something under a hero. So you can then rush a hero somewhere special. Perhaps you like just bypass the path and get it right up to the opposing fortress gate. And then when that hero dies, you have a rotten worm right then and there to also maybe get another hit in on the opposing fortress gate. The other one on that is Mindbreaker, and this is actually a talent that lets you take over the minds of your opposing heroes as well. Which this one is after Nucleus or a Merc hero you control defeats an opposing hero, you gain control of that hero. You'll set their HP to half, and then they are now your hero for the rest of the game. And you can even bypass the normal hero limit with that feature. The last one then is the mutagenic furnace. This is all about increasing Nucleus's own survivability and utility. So there's ones that'll let you, when Nucleus defeats a opposing unit, you can sort of look at another landmark in the board and actually spend a resource if you want to then all of a sudden explore it, which can be really nasty if your opponent sort of does the whole, like, looks at a landmark, goes, oh, I don't want to do that yet, and puts it back. Then you can use this ability with Nucleus to potentially look at it and trigger it all the way across the board. There's also some that give you new motility effects, so something new to spend your motility reservoir on. That'll allow you to get more healing, or as I briefly mentioned, there's one where you can use Nucleus to destroy your own spires and actually send the units in that stack back to your barracks on their promoted side. So if your opponent is not attacking your spires, or you have one of these spires that's not close to where they would be, you can use that ability to sort of get those promoted units anyway. And then ones that increase how much motility you get. And then the last one is when Nucleus would lose HP, you can actually remove upgrade chips instead of health to sort of survive a little bit longer, which is really important if you're ending the late game and you don't want to lose. Every health matters because that's essentially Fortress Gate health. And so you'll be like, hey, I'm happy to lose this range upgrade. We're in the end game. Well, this is the last wave. I don't need it really. I will get rid of that instead of taking that damage. But yeah, that is sort of the quick rundown of the Graft. They're really quite different from the other factions. They require a different sort of approach and strategy. It's very typical as a Graft player to feel overwhelmed in the first wave or possibly even the second wave. Because you have such a vulnerable Fortress Gate, it might be hard to get your spires up and running. It might be hard to get some promoted units going. But they are very much so designed to be tenacious and hard to kill. So even though you might still start feeling overwhelmed, you'll start to realize, wait, hold on, I'm still in this. I'm like going into wave 3 with only 2 health, but I have all of these options to heal, and I'm just going to keep healing and finding ways to like push those and keep surviving. And then once you get the spires up, you have such strong spire control. They can be an absolute force to be reckoned with by late game. And also, too, their fortress advancements don't cost a lot. And they can buy a ton of those because you're almost expected to have much lower Fortress Gate health. So in order to have it so that you have a strong, competitive Fortress Gate strength by the end of the game, you're likely going to be able to buy almost all of the fortress advancements by the end of the game. So there have definitely been situations where the Graft player is at like 2 or 3 HP, and the other person's Fortress Gate is only taken a hit or 2, and the Graft player still ends up on top because they have that fully unlocked advancement, and perhaps the other player, in trying to put the pressure on Nucleus, invested more in spires than in fortress advancements. But yeah, I will sort of see if Andrew has any questions to relay to me at the moment. Otherwise, we will then get into a solo scenario. Yes.
Would you like to tackle the pile of questions or jump into solo and then do questions after?
I'll do the questions first, just because I'm sure some of them will help give more context.
I'll be over here a bit, so
okay.
I'm not just speaking on the camera.
All right.
Answer what you can.
We'll do.
What you can't, I will move to the next.
Yeah, because like if they are more like bigger picture campaign questions, I probably can't answer any of
That might
those.
be really big here. Yeah, pretty big. That's fine. In danger of sounding extremely persistent, could you address the market variety in the stretch goals being all spires / equipment with no units?
Yes, so just to confirm, I recognize it probably wasn't abundantly clear that there are units in Harbinger that are included, Merc units. I believe it's the ones that were listed as part of the initial thing. Those ones are Merc units. We did want to actually add more spires and equipment intentionally. Not necessarily because we thought the ratio was bad for like there was too many units, but we did find that there was a lack of spires that we felt like were routinely being like exciting and purchasable. a lot of the spires in the market might cost a ton, and so there's some where like, okay, maybe we want to offer some powerful spires, but that don't cost so much. And equipment is just one of our favorite things. I think equipment is such a interesting way to really lean into the heroes of the game, so we wanted to have equipment pop up more frequently. That said, we have sort of been looking into the discussion because obviously we want to make sure the market does feel fun always, and especially for Uprising players. Uprising are my second favorite faction, second only to the Graft, and again, I have such an immense bias for the Graft, so I get it. It can feel very frustrating to play as the Uprising and not get a good array of units. So we're looking into, I think we have a couple chips that we might be able to move over into market chips and make them here minions and heroes. And so, yeah, we'll look into it. We have been testing with the current assortment, including like playing with some of these stretch goals that we're hoping to unlock to test that ratio. And we have been doing some Uprising games in that as well, and we haven't run into any issues on our end of things. Of course, if you're at the mercy of the market, there's always a chance of that happening. So we do want to be mindful and respectful of that. We've definitely heard it all. There, and again, to reiterate, there is units in Harbinger. Not a ton, of course, but I think it's like 2 or so. And given that there's a bunch of these, so I saw somebody do the math of like what the ratio changed by. I think it was like 0.5 something to 0.49. So it's not a big change in the actual ratio. But again, too, is it as exciting to get, like, are people excited to get those spires and equipment as much as they are to get more units? That's a question that'll probably vary on the individual, but it seems there's a big love for market units, especially among Uprising players. So we want to make sure we look into that and make any adjustments if we feel we need to.
I am lower down because I could not squat.
You couldn't squat forever?
You're bloviating too much. This one I can answer. Can we please get videos on the big box storage ASAP? Shannon covered this one. No, it does not exist. We'll show it as soon as we can, but there are currently, it is a file on a computer. It is not a physical thing.
There will also, because like we will run a pledge manager, and those pledge managers usually run for a good period of time. And so our hope is that we can maybe provide more information while the pledge manager is at least still open. And everything, like we anticipate all of the prices and everything. I think Gilly mentioned this the other day. We don't anticipate any price increases from the base campaign to the pledge manager. So if you're interested, but you really want to see more information, you can always wait until we can provide that information. And if it's in the pledge manager, you don't have to worry about getting a worse version or a more expensive version as you would get during the campaign.
Trying to move closer, but also be comfortable. No problem, Shannon.
Yeah, okay.
How many spires do the Graft have?
They have access to 4 different types of spires. They have, as most factions, 8 chips in total. So they have 4 chips that are mitochondria and Golgi, and they have 4 chips that are endoplasmic and cytosol.
Cool. Can Nucleus really move back and forth through forest, forcing enemy minions stuck to the path to turn back each round?
Yes. However, I kind of offhandedly mentioned this. I wasn't very explicit. Nucleus doesn't have a terrain allowance itself. So in order to actually do that, you have to spend motility. So you can do it, but it's going to eat up your motility reservoir. So you can only do it a certain number of times, which obviously just even doing it once can be what you need. But no, there's not going to be a situation where the Graft player is just doing it endlessly and essentially just like perpetually keeping the game going, because they'll eventually run out of motility. And honestly, you probably don't want to use all of your motility just to be like a silly silly
That's a
guy and
jerk.
just be like, oh, I'm just gonna do this
Such a
because you need it.
stinker.
You need it for Nucleus to survive. So, and doing that once or twice could help you survive. But again, you're not going to want to do it more than what's necessary.
This question: did Salem nail their explanation of the graft?
Who asked that?
John.
Oh, and he answered it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Said
you.
Yes,
He's saying
he
yes.
did. What about I don't understand this question.
What is
you
it?
might. What about depromoting the Neurora?
Oh,
How
yeah.
will that work?
So ultimately, it would just have no effect because those units, because it depromotes promoted units. So none of the Neuroran minions, I should say, are promotable because they are just all basic minions. So probably against the Neurora, Graft Lord Nestor won't be as helpful. Granted, Dispirit is a skill that probably won't trigger all that often because it's on the promoted side of the tier 3 hero. But I have gotten it to go off in very exciting ways. I was playing Ryan, who was playing the Brahmin, and I was able to depromote his, I think it was his Source Siege, Battleborn, and a Dispatch. And because I did that, his Battleborn and Dispatch were no longer able to take out the fortification upgrades on a Spire he didn't want to be there anymore. And that helped me tremendously. So it can really come in clutch. And also it's kind of just a funny... We put it there to be cheeky more than anything else because it is a foil to rally on Keem. But yeah. It wouldn't have any effect on Neuroran minions. Same with Uprising because market units don't have promoted sides and their Militia Defender, Militia Ranger aren't promoted either. So
yeah. This is something I absolutely don't have an answer to, but I want to let you know that the question is there. This faction is great, but the neoprene in the base causes tryptophobia for my friend and I. Could you modify the base in that sense? My guess is we could think about it. But
yeah, I mean, I
get that by looking
at it. That's not... So I can offer some feedback and advice to our visual designs, but of course that is not my department, but I can relay that for sure. Mm-hmm. We can take a look at that. Obviously,
no promises. But
yeah, we can't make any promises, but I mean, if we can avoid making somebody just desperately not. Now, granted, we knew when we made the graft that there was probably going to be some gross out stuff that was a bit much for some people. Of there's a difference between something as something like trypophobia and the whole idea of these worms and tapeworms and infesting and just all these things getting spliced and gross together. One is core to the concept of the faction itself. One a little bit less so. So we'll see. We'll see what we can do. But again, we can't make any promises at this time.
Yeah. If there's a way to adjust it without it being an issue, I'm sure they'd be open to it. But who knows? What's the ratio of new/old talent of the faction? I don't know. Exactly
let's see. Here. For the graph specifically, I think it's lower than the Keel and the Shada because 4 of their units have already existing, because they are existing units essentially. So Impale already exists, Quick Strike, Armored, Immolate, Healing. Those are already on units that exist in the game. So if you've been playing, if you're a Cloudspire veteran, you probably already know what all of those do. Nucleus is probably the most complicated, just because it's in order to make this sort of mechanic work and be viable and be competitive, we had to make sure Nucleus had a lot of avenues in which to survive. But honestly, beyond that, there's Infest, and then some of the Spire talents, which for the most part, the ones that are new is Organelle, which is, I mentioned, that's the one where its upgrades are equal to whatever Nucleus has. So that's a one and done kind of thing. It's not something that your opponent needs to constantly be oh, if I attack this Spire, what's it going to do to me? It's got a stupid ability on it. It's well, that ability's already done. It's got its upgrades. Splice, which is essentially that kind of single Spire capture. and then Powerhouse on the mitochondria, because of course it does. Which is just, it gives you it lets you promote one rotten worm in your barracks when it's defeated. You actually just get to go ahead and just flip it right there in your barracks. And so that's also just like a one and done thing. And while you as an opposing player, you kind of want to take that into account because then you're giving promoted rotten worms to your opponent, but for the most part, you probably don't need to care about that as much. So I'd say it's definitely mostly already existing talents. I'm not going to sit here and count all of them, give the exact ratio at the moment, but it is mostly existing talents for the Graft specifically.
Yeah, I think you answered that already. How does Graft stop Wave 1 Royal Talon?
Oh.
It only takes 1 damage.
Yeah, so Wave 1 Royal Talon is not as effective against the Graft because if it gets up to Nucleus, it'll only hit it for 1 and then take the retaliation. Yeah. Additionally, there is a fortress advancement you can get called Grafted Snare, which is on your turn, units adjacent to Nucleus have their talents turned off. So you can actually, if a Royal Talon's coming at you, even though Nucleus doesn't have air defense itself, you just get Grafted Snare, and then you'll be able to attack it again, and then it'll retaliate against you, sure, but again, that's only just 1. You'll only ever lose 1 health at a time. And if you have a fortification upgrade, you only lose that. Additionally, too, Infest, in its actual wording, so when you infest something, that unit then gains a new talent called Infested. And that talent specifically is worded to sort of be, this unit is treated as if it were grouped for other talents. And that means you can't infest the same unit twice because you can only infest ungrouped units. So you can't infest the same one twice with 2 different worms. But what's nice about that is flying only triggers if the unit is ungrouped. So if you infest the Royal Talon, it loses flying effectively. So the Graft definitely have a few different ways to deal with the Royal Talon. You can also deploy the Spitting Worm Wave 1 if you're really worried, and start hitting it with your 4 range from a good distance away. You'd have to be a bit worried though because Spitting Worm only has 3 health and the Royal Talon attacks for 3, so it would get you in 1 hit. But if you can keep hitting it, and then you can even get up close and then infest it.
Last question. Feel free to keep asking questions. I'm just going to cut it here for the moment, so that we can get to the solo scenario. Out of the new expansions, how many co-op scenarios are added?
So there are 6 co-op scenarios. There's 2 in the Graft, the Keel, and the Shada. There are no co-op scenarios in Harbinger.
Cool.
All right. Oh, my legs. Okay. Should I get to this then? You good?
Yes. We're going to do a solo scenario now, and then we're going to be done.
Cool.
Maybe we'll do some more questions after.
Yeah. Depending on time.
Yeah.
Well, I fully anticipate to lose very, very quickly, so this will be over in a sec.
Awesome. Love it.
All right. Am I good to just go?
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, so this actually, so with the Graft, we wanted to do something kind of like how we were talking about how solo scenarios work, where each scenario kind of teaches you a different mechanic of the faction you're playing as. And so we took that to a very, very literal degree with the Graft. And it also thematically ties it in because the Graft is sort of emerging for the first time. So they don't have access to all of these different units that they've grafted into it. So in the very first scenario, you do only have access to Nucleus and the worms. And you're playing against the Grove Tenders. And in order to start deploying a Warbriar, you have to splice the Warbriar into the Graft. And then you have access to deploying the Warbriars. And then in scenario 2, you get a chance to get the Aegis. And then in scenario 3, you get a chance to get the Joust and the Messiah. And there's no carryover. Like if you don't complete the objective of splicing the Warbriar, you still get it in scenario 2. So it's not like a situation where it's like, oh yeah, if you don't, you could get to the end of the campaign with still only the worms. That wouldn't be possible. You do still just keep getting those. However, for the sake of showcasing the graft, it would probably not do a good job at fully capturing what the graft looked like in practice if we only showed you scenario 1. Because, again, I wouldn't have access to most of the units. It works very, very well when you are sort of learning the faction and you're going through the narrative story, but for the purposes of a demonstration, we thought it best to sort of jump ahead a bit. So we're actually going right into scenario 4. I will not spoil too much of the story as to like what led up to this point, but there will still be some small story spoilers ahead. So if you really want to go in blind, there is that. We will be doing, I believe, a 3-player PvP game of the 3 new factions. So if you don't want any type of story spoilers, but you still want to see how the graft function, we will be doing a 3-player game in a future stream, and you'll be able to see the graft in action there. Anyway, so I've got this scenario set up. To any Cloudspire solo veterans, you might actually kind of recognize this map. This is slightly modified, but for the most part, the same map as the Brahmin 4 solo scenario and the Heirs 1. And the narrative happening in those is you are essentially at the Heirs capital. Because like the Brahmin try to take down the Heirs once and for all, they fail, and the Heirs have to sort of push them back. But they now see the graft at their doorstep. So we are here attacking the Heirs capital of Testament, and yeah, I will get into reading here some of the mechanics and objectives of this scenario. So there is a bit of carryover from the previous scenario. It says choose one of the heroes you had active at the end of the previous scenario. Deploy them without any upgrades on their basic side with full HP to Hex B, which I have already done. So in the previous scenario, you get a chance to use Mindbreaker, which is the one that lets you take over opposing heroes. And you can actually then do that to get different heroes available for this one. So there's a way to get a Nerora hero. You could actually have a Nerora hero at your disposal in this scenario. But for this one, I just went ahead and assumed that I had Berry Brund, so I have Berry Brund out here. And unlike when you have to use Neurochemical Hijack, you don't group a worm under him because technically Berry Brund already died, and the reason he's animated is because he's been grafted into the graft as a whole, unlike where the worms are just infesting their brains to mind control them. So I've got Berry Brund there. Setup. Remove 2 random Merc minions and 1 random equipment from the market, which I have done. Flip them face down and shuffle them. Set the air tracker to 0, which will be used for objective tracking. And set aside all landmarks with a talent Riftwalk. So per setup, put a gate port on this hex here, but I've set aside the other 2 gate ports because they will come up later in this scenario. All right, we have 3 objectives, as all scenarios do. We have defeat the Windrush carrying Lord Nestor, which I will get to in a second, the scenario-specific rules. And then at the end of Wave 5, have no more than 8 escaped air units. So the air units are going to try to be evacuating their royal personnel here, and we want to stop them. And then the final one is to defeat the Heirs Fortress, which will immediately end the scenario. Our loss condition, as per normal, if your Fortress Gate is defeated, so if Nucleus is defeated, you lose the scenario. Additionally, we will lose the scenario if the Air Fortress Gate is not defeated at the end of Wave 5. So you typically only have to complete 1 objective in order to win a scenario. For this one in particular, that 1 objective would have to be defeat the Heirs Fortress, because if you complete a different one and then don't do that, you still lose the scenario. Okay, scenario-specific rules. you cannot deploy Graft Lord Nestor. Makes sense. We haven't grafted him into our faction yet. When air units deploy, they will deploy first from the closest refuge spire to Nucleus. Only one air unit can deploy per refuge spire. Once all refuge spires have deployed a unit, the rest will deploy from the fortress gate as normal. So their units, they will have sort of a staggering of units coming out a little bit more aggressively than just their fortress gate. Okay, so Windrush and Harrier minions have a different mark from other air units. When one of these minions moves onto a gate port, increase the air's source tracker by 1 and return the minion to the barracks. So that is to essentially mark how many of these of the royal envoys have been escaping. And then, so the royal envoy itself is a face-down random market chip of the ones we set aside, and it'll be grouped under a Windrush. After the Windrush is defeated, flip the royal envoy chip grouped under it. If it is a minion, it'll activate as normal. If it's an equipment, so one of these is an equipment, it's essentially to represent Graft Lord Nestor. So we will actually then get to deploy Graft Lord Nestor onto that hex, and he will gain the equipment that was used to represent his presence in the royal envoy. The other sort of benefit that we can use is after the Windrush has been deployed, the Royal Envoy may be explored as if it were a landmark chip. So if we want to use some of that knowledge to be like, okay, do we really care about attacking this Windrush? Or is it just carrying a minion and we could just leave it alone? Or if it's carrying Graft Lord Nestor or Lord Nestor, then we would want to make sure we get it. Yeah, that is pretty much just the quick rundown of what's going on in this scenario. So, oh yes, yeah, so I'm using the Uprisings Fortress, just like the Neoprene, just because it's also detached like the Uprising. But I have Nucleus right over here, and then here is the Air Fortress right there. Okay, so wave 1, first thing we do is we roll the event die. So I'll give that a roll. All right, and I got a 4, and a 3 to 4 is Nucleus gains 2 HP, ignoring Bio-Indefinite. So I mentioned Bio-Indefinite restricts how much HP Nucleus can lose. It restricts how much HP Nucleus can gain. So it essentially says Nucleus can only gain or lose 1 HP chip at a time. This says gain 2 HP, ignoring Bio-Indefinite, may exceed health stat. So actually, right from the get-go, I get to bump Nucleus's HP up to 9. So in this scenario, the events are very much so all about empowering you and making you feel really, really stronger, unlike most events, which are usually bad in solo. All right, income phase, 6 source. Okay, so I gained 6 source. There will be a market phase, but there are no Earthscapes. So I will go ahead and flip 3 of these over. We've got Lostomeyer, the Fashioner, and the Anarchist. So do I want any of those? Now keep in mind, I can't deploy any of them yet. I would have to save 2 source to buy the Neurochemical Hijack. Okay. In order to deploy them. Honestly, Anarchist wave 1 is pretty good because he can help take out a landmark. So I'm going to buy the Anarchist for 1. Okay, build phase. The heirs construct stables 1 Harrier training. I don't have any of the little pegs out here, but I'll just sort of remember. That's the one that increases, I believe, their Harrier's health stat to 3. Stables, Harrier training. The health stat of all Harrier minions is permanently increased by 1. So yeah, they will have a health stat of 3 then. Okay, so their deployment stack is going to be an unpromoted joust, then a promoted joust. And for those of you who haven't dived into solo yet, but have played Cloudspire and might be wondering, wait, how are they able to deploy promoted units? That's not how the heirs work. Solo lets the AI operate on entirely different rules. They do not play fair in the traditional sense. And that allows us to make these scenarios have like very finely tuned puzzles. So it's like, okay, well, we want to have you go up against a promoted unit in this context, so they just get to deploy it. So then we also have a promoted Harrier, which again will have a health stat of 3 instead of 2. And then the last one is a Harbinger. And that is an unpromoted Harbinger. So I'll put those all in their deployment stack, like so. Additionally, they do have this Regal Lookout, so I will just get out ahead of placing a Glide Bomb Elfinkazi on it. Okay, so I still do need to take my build phase, but for my prep phase, I will also have 7 command points. Okay. So let's see, taking a look, what do I want to spend my source on? Well, I definitely want to buy Neurochemical Hijack, because that'll let me actually deploy this Anarchist. And then I think I am also going to get Grafted Snare. So Grafted Snare is the one that lets me turn off the talents of opposing units adjacent to Nucleus on my turn. That even includes landmark units. So if you flip something with Relentless, for example, you don't have to worry about losing somebody to it. All right, prep phase. So actually, I just want to make sure if 7 wasn't. One sec here. I am not supposed to have 7 command points. I'm supposed to have 5 command points. So there we go. All right, which makes sense. Let's see here. So I have to do a Rotten Worm because I have to group it under the Anarchist in order to deploy it. So that's 1. So I have 4 left. I could do 2 Grafted Briars. Do I want to do that, or do I want to do a Grafted Aegis? I'm going to do 2 Grafted Briars. And I'm not going to group any of them. Yeah, there we go. All right. Oh, hold on. This guy has 3. Okay. And per the turn order, I get to go first. So Graft goes first. Now, so keep in mind, because you can move heroes before minions, you can actually move Nucleus before your minions deploy, because they will deploy out of Nucleus as in the same way that a Fortress Gate Hex or a Waygate, to use the Uprising's example. That said, I think I'm looking on how I want to do this. I don't want to move Nucleus. I do want to move Berrybrund. I'm going to move him there. Okay, so then I'm going to deploy my units here. Now, just as keep in mind, talents are not considered active until the unit is in play. So, like, for example, like Anarchy. So I don't have to roll that die just yet. I will have to roll it on subsequent turns, though. All right, so go like that. And that. And then this guy's going to stop there because he cannot proceed any further. All right, I'm going to do Explorer. Okay, I'm going to explore this one. Hey, look at that. We got Relentless, which I mentioned gets turned off. Now, that being said, that is kind of a waste of the Anarchist. Because I could, or that's a waste of Grafted Snare, though, because I could just have the Anarchist kill it. I mean, I'm definitely going to reveal it, for sure. I will take a look at this as well. We have the Rogue Grizzled Oak. I'll go ahead and, do I want to spawn that? Oh, that's tough. There's no way I can get the Anarchist over there. Oh, that is a bad pull. No, I'm not going to reveal the Anarchist or the Rogue Grizzle Oak. Okay, so attack. Actually, wait, no, sorry. I lied. I am going to reveal it. Okay, so I'm going to just have the Anarchist defeat the Grail Wasp. There's no way I can time the... Oh, wait, no, I can do this. Grafted Briar, 1. And because I get to ignore the talents because of Grafted Snare, Relentless is just not going to do anything, and it doesn't have an attack stat, so it won't retaliate. And then I will defeat it with Nucleus for 1. That gives me 3 source. And then I get a upgrade on Nucleus. And I'll take an attack upgrade to start with because it's very important, because it won't exactly help me to build a Spire that just has a range upgrade, for example. And so Grafted Briar attacked, then I attacked. These two don't have anything to attack. I am not going to attack with Berrybrund. I should have also explored that. I forgot to. Oh, well. All right. So then the enemy AI turn's going to go. The other thing to mention too, they actually have a hero up there. I don't even know if it's in frame. Is this guy in frame?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's the tiniest bit cut off, but
Okay. So there is Roa up there, which is involved in the stories to a small degree. So that's why they're here. Controlled by the heirs. And they have a mark of, let's see, opposing heroes will always go towards the closest opposing spire and then towards Nucleus. So, all right, we'll start. Remember, these the first minions will deploy out of the refuge spires. So this joust will deploy out of this one and go 1, 2. Then this joust will deploy out of the second one and go 1, 2, 3. This Harrier will move as normal, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the Harbinger, which will come out with a Elfin Kasi as well, will go 1, 2. Now Roa will then also start to move and head towards, because there's no opposing spires, so it's going to start heading towards Nucleus. Okay, then back over to my turn. Dang, I really should have explored that swamp landmark. I could have gotten Impale benefit. Okay. Well, gonna push through. So move that. Now I have to move the Anarchist. I do have to roll a d6. I got a 1, so we're good. Okay. I am gonna go ahead and explore this. I'm out of range of this spire, so I don't have to do Spire's Fire. It's the Source Peddler. Of course it is. This darn guy. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. He's got that. And then I will take a look at this as well.
can you explain the Grail Wasp attack? Why didn't it retaliate to the first attack?
I did no. Relentless is a talent that is when this unit would retaliate, you roll a Spire attack die and essentially total up all of the damage until you get a miss or a 2. So its retaliation can be anywhere from 0 to unlimited, hypothetically. The reason it didn't retaliate, though, is I purchased one of my fortress advancements that I mentioned getting was Grafted Snare, which is when on my turn, units adjacent, specifically opposing units adjacent to Nucleus have their talents turned off. So essentially, that Grail Wasp lost Relentless and wasn't able to trigger it, and it doesn't have an attack stat, so therefore it just doesn't retaliate, or retaliates for nothing. So that's why nothing became of that Warbriar. All right, and then we do have the Grail Vipers here. Okay, so I am going to attack the Source Peddler with a Grafted Briar. So that's 1, and it'll retaliate for 2. Then I'll have Berry Brund hit the Source Peddler for 1. And then I'm going to have Nucleus attack the Rogue Grizzled Oak for 2. It will take 1 retaliation. Again, it's taking 1 because even though it's dealing 2 damage, per bio indefinite, Nucleus can only lose 1 HP chip at a time. All right, so back to the heirs. I'll go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, the Harriers are essentially trying to run to the gate port to escape. So that's why he's going that way. And then the Harbinger picking up the rear. All right, so attack. Now I could actually... Okay, this is interesting. So that Joust can't defeat either, but it can damage both, so I get to choose. So I'm going to have it go for the Source Peddler. So hits it for 2, takes retaliation by 2. And then I'm going to have this one go, and it's going to hit for 2. And then now Relentless is going to trigger because it Grafted Snare is not turning it off in this context. All right, so let's see what Relentless does here. Oh, wow. Okay, that's a miss, first roll. All right, that's fine. That's allowed, I guess. Okay. Then back. Oh, and then Roa, of course. Keep moving on up. All right. So then back to my turn. I move the Grafted Briar. It's going to move and then immediately trigger Impale, which is after its movement, it deals 1 damage to every opposing unit it was not already adjacent to. So defeats that Joust before Spires even get a chance to fire, which is going to give me 2 source. And then I have to roll for the Anarchist. 3, still good. And then the other Grafted Briar picking up the rear. I do want to move, I'm going to move Nucleus up 1 to there. Okay, so let's see here. How do I want to approach this? Spire's Fire. I think that has to happen first. So this is going to attack my Grafted Briar. And yeah, very, very dead. Okay. Well, I think I'm just going to take out both of these. So I'll use Berry Brun to take out the Grail Vipers. That gives me a Relic. Okay, Espionage. That's going to let me steal... Ooh, I can steal Spire upgrades from opposing Spires and add them to my own. That's going to be very helpful. Berry Brun also then gets a upgrade. I will give him an attack upgrade. And then I'll have the Anarchist take out the Source Peddler. That gives me 6 source. All right. Okay, back to their turn. I'm going to move the Joust, Harbinger, and Roa. Which Roa does have an attack upgrade and a range upgrade plus double health. So it does have range of 3. So that is pretty nasty. That is going to start hurting once I have to deal with them. Okay, so Eager is going to trigger on the Joust, in which case it displaces when the unit attacks. Then it attacks. So it attacks for 2 against everybody it's adjacent to. Only the initial unit retaliates. So my Anarchist will then retaliate for 3, which that is very helpful. Oh, I forgot to move the Harrier. Harrier hops into the place and escapes. So they get 1 escape. I'll just set that over there. Okay. Yeah, the Elfin Kazi can't get to a hero just yet, so that's... and then... Oh, sorry. Gosh. I'm going to retcon one thing. I meant to attack this Rogue Grizzled Oak with Nucleus. So, there we go. All right. So then it would be back to my turn. Let's see. Do I want to move any heroes first? Or do a build action? Honestly, I think I'm going to do a build action. Yeah. I'm going to spend... Let's see. There is some flying, but do I want... I think I just want the Mitochondria. I'm going to spend 2 to build a Mitochondria, which Nucleus has has 1 attack upgrade, so that'll be the Mitochondria's upgrade. Oh, I have to expand my influence. All right, I'm going to build 1 here then first to get that influence going, because Nucleus only provides influence on the hex group it's occupying. So then I'm going to do my other limited build action to build Mitochondria there. Okay, now I'm going to move the Anarchist. Have to roll a die. 6. Okay, so the Anarchist is gone. He runs away. I'd like to believe that the worms could just be like, no, you're not allowed to run away anymore. But dude's his ideals, he's committed. He's able to overcome my worm conditioning. Yeah. So let's see here. I think I'm going to have Berry Brun move here. It's because this Elfin Kazi is going to go there. So still safe from the Glide Bomb. So I'm going to move Berry Brun there. Oh, I should have just waited a turn. I was going to get a Spire for free. Ugh, I'm not playing super optimally. I could infest this Joust actually right away. I just want to make... Let me check the wording here. Do I not have the... There it is. Anarchy. Before this unit's movement. So I believe since it ran away, that unit stack hasn't had movement yet. So this Rotten Worm will have to activate. I could just have it infest before it moves, but I don't think there's a reason for me to infest this Joust. So I'm going to move here. Grafted Briar is stuck. Okay, Spire's Fire. Yep, that worm is absolutely dead. However, I do have a spire here now, so actually maybe that's a good reason why I did it. So I'm going to absorb, which now is when that spot, like this chip, essentially is like a 1 damage fortification. When it's removed, it'll go back to my barracks on its promoted side. And then I will have Berry Brund take out the Joust, get 2 source, and then get another upgrade. I'm going to do a fortification upgrade, just because I'm worried about this Elfin Kazi dealing 2 damage. And then Nucleus will defeat the Rogue Grizzled Oak. I'd have to recheck the rules for as far as exact timing goes on this, because there is a timing of, I believe, leveling up your hero is last. I believe. I'm going to play it that way because that's harder. So I don't get to build the Spire with the new upgrade of Nucleus. I could be wrong about that, but I'm going to play it that way for now so that I don't cheat. I think I will also do another... Oh, no, I'm going to do an endoplasmic just so I'm not depleting all of my mitochondria spires. Okay, and then I will give Nucleus a range upgrade. Okay, so back to the enemy turn. It's got this. Still not, because it's got a Roost Realm of 2. Yeah, 2. So still not able to get to the hero, because that's how the AI likes to use Elfin Kazi, is they'll only use it if it can get an opposing hero. And then Roa will keep moving there. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, not in range of that Spire for Roa. Okay. Back to my turn. Oh, this is... Oh, wait. Ooh, I can use this. At the start of your turn during the onslaught phase, remove any upgrade from a Spire with 2 or more upgrades. Place that upgrade on the bottom of another Spire, ignoring its upgrade capacity. I am going to go ahead and remove the range upgrade from this one and add it to my mitochondria there. Okay. So it's going to go there, which means it'll get... So I'm going to move this guy first. So I want Berry Brund there. If I want to get, so I'll move Nucleus up 1 as well. And then, yeah, I'll get Berry Brund there. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, enemies go. It's going to go there. So my mitochondria is going to attack... I guess I'll move Roa first. Yeah. Mitochondria will attack the Harbinger. 1. Okay, and it'll attack and remove that range upgrade. Oh, I do not have that anymore. Okay. I'd have to double check the AI talent reference sheet on Roost Realm. I do not recall the Elfin Kazi also attacking. So I apologize if I got that wrong, but I'm going to say it doesn't attack in this context because they attack like heroes, and I think Roost Realm says they don't attack. If somebody yells at me in the chat, I honestly kind of want it to attack me because then I'd get the Rotten Worms back, but all right. Back to my turn. Here we go. This is good. I'm going to use the Grafted Briar for Impale. It's going to deal 1 damage to both of these units. And I get 2 source for defeating the Elfin Kazi. And then I can move Berry Brund up there. And then I'm going to move Nucleus up 1. And then I'm going to spend 2 of my Motility Reservoir to move Nucleus 1 more hex. Okay. Spires don't fire because that doesn't have range anymore because I got rid of it. And so then Grafted Briar will hit the Harbinger. And I get 2 more source. Okay. Enemy turns Roa. It's going to go there. Okay. Priority here. I mean, it can defeat the Warbriar, so it's gonna defeat the Warbriar, and I'm gonna absorb that. And then it gains an attack upgrade ignoring capacity. AI heroes are the worst. And that ends the wave. Okay, so that's the end of wave 1. I'm going to just quick check in. Are there any outstanding questions or anything like that I should address before I continue?
I think it has been answered within the chat, but it was pulled from the campaign page, so it might not be 100%. How much attack does Nucleus have?
Nucleus has a base attack stat of 1. I gave it an attack upgrade, so now that's up to 2. Keep in mind, Organelle only cares about upgrades on the unit, so that's why it's like I'm still only adding 1 attack upgrade to these spires, as opposed to 2, even though Nucleus's attack stat is 2. So it's not like it's add upgrades equal to Nucleus's stats, it's equal to the upgrades Nucleus currently has. But yeah, base attack of 1. That being said, retaliation though, because Nucleus retaliates like a fortress gate, it always retaliates for 1. So even if you get a bunch of attack upgrades on Nucleus, you're still only going to retaliate for 1, which is where fortifications can be huge on Nucleus. Okay, so wave 2, roll the event die. That's a 1. Ooh, I like this one. Nucleus gains 1 upgrade of your choice, ignoring restrictions. I will take another attack upgrade. Ooh, I like that a lot. Okay, that's huge. All right, gain 2 source only. And another market phase. So I'll get rid of those. Got the Plague Bringer, Baza, and the Time Vials here. I should probably keep that in 1 stack. Ooh, Time Vials, that's pretty good. So another thing to note, Nucleus itself does not count towards the hero capacity of your faction. So even though I already have 2 heroes out, I actually still can deploy one of my other heroes. I can't deploy Graft Lord Nestor though, because we have to take him out in his little envoy. Do I want Back to the Future on the Fury Worm is a question. I think I do. Yeah, I'm going to spend 3 source to buy the Time Vials. Okay. Heirs construct Stables 2 reserves, which that will be once per wave when your last minion is eliminated, you may immediately spend 2 source to put a joust into play. Place the joust on the closest path hex to your mark that is adjacent to an heir spire. Thing to note about AI in solo, they don't care about spending source. They essentially always have the source to spend. So I don't get to decrease that dial that I'm using for the objective in order to trigger that. They just get to do that for free. Okay. I do have 7 command points this time, and they deploy 2 promoted jousts. Two promoted harriers. I'll just use the one that's over there. A Harbinger. That's unpromoted again. I'm gonna actually just go ahead and put its Elfenkazi right away. That. And then the last one is a unpromoted Royal Talon. That is nasty. Okay. Let's see. Attack by unit. Okay. All right. So then it is my turn. Oh, I should do my build phase. I have 13. Ooh, I know what I'm going to do here because Roa is right there. Where's my reference sheet? There it is. Okay. I'm going to spend 3 source to buy Bloodthirst, which is gain 2 source anytime an infested unit is defeated, regardless as to how. When this advancement is purchased, you may promote 1 Rotten Worm in your barracks. So I'm going to just go ahead and take one of those chips and promote it. I am also going to get, can I get all of this? Yes, I can. Okay. I am also then going to get Hemorrhage, which is when units with infested now lose 2 HP after attacking instead of 1. When this advancement is purchased, you may promote 1 Rotten Worm in your barracks. So I will do that. Thing to note about infest is when an infested unit is defeated and you get the chip back, those ones will actually go back to your barracks on their basic side. So I am getting a chance to like just really promote almost all of my rotten worms here, but when I use them for infest, they will eventually return back on their basic side again. That is an infest specific mechanic. Then I'm going to gain the Rancor die, which is this little die here, which increases by 1 each time one of my units is defeated by an opposing hero or spire. And then I can decrease it by any amount when I'm attacking an opposing hero or spire to increase the attacking unit's attack stat. And then I'm going to get Blood Pact, which is infest can be used against opposing heroes. Infesting units are not removed until the hero is defeated, even if it is returned to its fortress. So essentially, infesting an opposing hero, they have it until they're dead. Okay. So let's see here. Prep phase. I have 7 CP. I could spend 4 for the Fury Worm if I'd like. Do I actually want to do the Fury Worm just yet? I think I'm going to hold off. I'm going to do a Rotten Worm because promoted Rotten Worms actually only cost 0 CP, so you get to deploy them for free. So I'm definitely going to do a Rotten Worm to start because I'm hoping to infest Roa right away. I think I will also do a Grafted Briar. Okay. Let's see. So that's 2. I've got 5 more. I could just do that. I could do the Spitting Worm. Yeah, I'm going to put the Spitting Worm out. Okay, so I have a Rotten Worm, Grafted Briar, and a Spitting Worm. Do I want a second? I'm going to put my second, because again, these only cost 0. So I'm going to put this second Rotten Worm under... I'm going to group it under the Spitting Worm. There we go. Okay. Wave 2, the heirs get to go first. So this guy will deploy from here, and he'll displace their friendly hero. So 1, 2, 3. He's there. This one's I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and then the Royal Talon 1, 2. Okay. Then Roa will move back up to there. Quick Strike will occur, so that'll go first. I now get this promoted Warbriar back into my barracks, which is great. I love that. Now Spires fire. My Mitochondria will fire upon the Joust. 1 damage. Okay, and then Roa is in range. So let's see, a prioritize. So it's got a Spire it can damage or a hero it can damage. So it's going to go for the hero. Now it's got an attack stat of 3, however, evasive. When this unit is attacked by a unit with range, reduce the damage dealt to 1. So Barry Brund is just going to lose that 1 fortification. Okay. Now it's my turn. Oh, shoot. There's a Joust in the way. I don't love that. I was hoping to infest Roa. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention. Motility, by the way. At the start of every wave, you get 4, and it's capped at 10. So I actually gotta go ahead and give myself that 4 extra motility there. Okay. Let's see here. Shoot. I mean, I guess I might as well infest this Joust. So I'm going to deploy the Rotten Worm. Let's see. I'm going to move Barry Brund first. Move him back there. Rotten Worm. Infest. Now, it does have Infest 1 on the promoted Rotten Worm, so the Joust will take 1 damage upon getting infested. And then I'm going to do the Grafted Briar. Impale. So it also just gets to hit it for 1. And then the Spitting Worm. Oh, gosh. I don't want to attack Roa because then the spinning worm would just die. But I'm trying to think if that's just going to happen no matter what. This is tough. Oh shoot, I should have moved Nucleus up. I think I can, yeah, because I can hit that joust, so I might just go for the backline joust. Okay. All right, so attacks, Grafted Briar will hit the joust, and it'll die. Because of Bloodthirst, I gain 2 source anytime an infested unit is defeated, regardless as to how. So I gain 2 source from defeating the joust, and then I get an additional 2 as well. And then just to confirm, yes, this Rotten Worm will go back to my barracks on its basic side. Okay, and then Spitting Worm, I'll have it hit this joust in the back. Okay, back to their turn. So this guy's going to displace. So 1, 2, 3. Or no, he was here. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. I don't think I'm going to be able to stop those Harriers from getting to the place. There is a way if you really just are aggressive in Nucleus and just constantly moving and using your whole motility, you can get up here by wave 2 to stop these Harriers, but I didn't feel like being that aggressive, so. All right, Joust is going to Quick Strike. It cannot defeat any, I should have brought the rulebook out here to confirm this. I don't know, could you go grab me a rulebook, Andrew? Yeah. I'm pretty sure they prioritize a Spire they can damage above a minion they can damage. So I think that Joust is going to... Also, this Roa will move up again. All right, so he's getting that rule book here. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this Joust will go for the mitochondria. And I get to promote that. I will walk this back if it turns out I am wrong. And then Roa will actually then prioritize a Spire it can defeat over a hero it can damage or even a minion it can defeat. Again, I will walk this back if it's wrong, but mitochondria is defeated. So I get that one back into my barracks on its promoted side. And then Powerhouse lets me promote a Rotten Worm in my barracks when it's defeated. So that one Rotten Worm I had to put back on its basic side. Oh. This is helpful, but I was not clear. Actually, can you get me a solo scenario book?
Wow,
I'm so sorry. That's where the AI attack unit priority list is on. I didn't specify, I'm sorry. But because of Powerhouse, I then can promote that one worm again. So with a combination of the 2 fortress advancements that just auto let you promote Rotten Worms, mitochondria also lets you keep them going. So it allows you to get those really more powerful infests going, even though they depromote after they use it. No. The solo scenario book. Oh my god. I see you have it. Oh my gosh. All right. AI attack unit priority. Opposing Fortress Gate, hero it can defeat, Spire it can defeat, faction minion it can defeat, landmark minion it can defeat. Opposing hero it can damage, Spire it can damage. Yep, so that was correct. The Joust would have preferred the Spire it could damage versus the minion it can damage, and then because of that, Roa prioritized the Spire it can defeat. It does actually get another attack upgrade, which is just so gross. Okay. All right, back to my turn. Wow, I don't love this. Okay. I need to deal with Roa. Oh my gosh. I mean, granted, what's nice is despite that attack stat of 4, once Roa starts hitting Nucleus, it'll only deal 1 damage. So it's not as dire. All right, let's see here. I think I'm going to spend 1 motility to give Nucleus terrain allowance here, and then 2 more to increase its movement stat by 1. So I'm going to go to there. All right. I can't move my minions at all. They are stuck because of the joust. Oh, actually, before I do that, hold on. I'm actually going to move Berry Brund there and then do that. All right, so attacks. I am going to have Nucleus attack Roa for 3 damage. Roa is going to retaliate for 4, but again, because of bio-indefinite, only takes 1. I am going to have the Spitting Worm then hit Roa for 1 as well. And then I'll have the Grafted Briar hit the Joust for 1, takes 2 back. And then I will have Berry Brund finish off the Joust. And I get 2 for that. Okay, and Berry Brund gets an upgrade. There are no more attack upgrades, so I will give him a fortification. All right. Back to their turn. So minions here, they're going to go whop. Okay, so that's 2 more, so they're up to 3, which is not too bad at the moment, but yeah, can't get to them yet. All right. Then Roa. So enemy heroes, they only move as close as they have to hit the thing they want to hit. Roa is... although technically it still prioritizes the spires. So I do think actually he'll still go up here and want to go that way, but can't get it yet. So he'll prioritize a fortress gate, which again, Nucleus is considered a fortress gate. So we'll hit Nucleus for 1 because of bio-indefinite. And even though Nucleus's attack stat is 3, Nucleus just plainly retaliates like a fortress gate. So it'll hit back only for 1. Okay. That being said, Roa is going to die here next turn, which is great. Okay. So my turn, I'm still stuck because Roa is right there. I will have Nucleus just go ahead and defeat Roa. So I get 3 for that. Now I could choose to promote Nucleus. I am not going to at this current point in time because I already have the 3 upgrades because I was able to get that event die. And I don't really think I need the extra 3 health at this point in time. So I'm going to just leave it there. Spitting Worm, I mean, it'll attack the Refuge Spire, but it can't damage it because they have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they're all out of range. Oh, this is bad. Well, so Elfinkazi is then going to trigger. And it's going to go right there. Again, bio-indefinite is going to save Nucleus, but it's not going to help Berry Brund. And then it will also defeat this Briar. And that is gone. Okay. So now back to my turn. I'm going to move Spitting Worm. I'm going to spend 2... Oh, no, I don't have to spend 2 motility. I can just go right here, and then I'll be in range of that. And I will leave Berry Brund there for now. All right, so Spitting Worm's going to go. I'm going to have it go for the Royal Talon. Nucleus will attack that on the Refuge Spire. Okay, their turn. I don't have any spires, so Royal Talon will attack Nucleus, and the Harbinger will attack the Spitting Worm. Okay. Let's see here. I think. Ooh. Rotten worm. Ooh, yes. Okay. I'm going to try this. I'm going to do a limited build action. Oh, shoot. That's just going to kill the... No. Okay. I'm going to do a limited build action. I'm going to build an endoplasmic reticulum for 2, which gets an attack, range, and attack. Now, it doesn't have to be in that order. It doesn't have to match Nucleus's, but that's the order I want it in.
Someone says, I thought Nucleus had a talent that prevents adjacent minions from using abilities.
So it's on your turn. So when it's your current active turn, Nucleus turns it off. So outside of your turn, Grafted Snare does not help you. And honestly, one of the reasons for that was so that Glide Bomb could still be viable against the Graft. Okay. All right, so then I'm going to spend 2 motility to increase my movement stat and go there. Okay, and then Spitting Worm is going to... I'm going to deal 1 damage against the Royal Talon, and it will die, which will get absorbed by the endoplasmic reticulum. And then I will use the Rotten Worm to infest the Harbinger, which will deal it 1 damage because it has infest 1. Okay, so then their turn. Royal Talon's going to go. They'll go there. Harbinger will go there. Spires fire. I'm going to have the Spires fire on the Royal Talon. Oh, come on. No, 1 damage. So Royal Talon will hit Nucleus. I'll retaliate. I think I am going to go ahead and promote Nucleus. I think I could use that health now. I do lose all of these delicious upgrades, but I will get them back, I'm sure. And then what do I get for defeating the Royal Talon? I get 4 source. Okay, and then the Harbinger will attack the bottom of this, and that's going to give me my promoted Spitting Worm, which I am really excited for. And then because it's infested, after it attacks, it's going to lose HP. Normally it's just 1, but because I bought the advancement, it loses 2. 1 would have been enough to defeat it anyway. So I get 2 source for defeating the Harbinger, plus 2 more because of my Bloodthirst ability. And that goes back on promoted side.
Can you talk about your love of standard health chips?
Oh, I mean, well, these are, not only are these standard, these are like our old school ones. Yeah, with the old logo and everything. Because this is, I believe, I can't remember if or when or if we'll be reprinting Cloudspire with the new chips. Not sure. Previous stock has always been these ones because we printed that stock before the logo change. But no, I like the difference. I like having a distinct weight difference between the health and the chips on top. It makes health chips feel more distinct to me. I seem to be in the minority in that. But so this is me advocating for those people who say like, oh, premium health, do I have to get it? I don't think so. But again, there's other people who say it's like, oh, I get premium health for every chip theory game. So yeah, I am the outlier, I guess. Any other questions?
More of a comment.
That was more of a comment, yeah. All right, that ends the wave. So on to wave 3. Now they're going to start deploying those Royal Envoys. So I have to be aggressive and make sure I take those out, lest I lose my chance to complete that objective. All right, so roll the event die. 4. Hey, I'll take that one. That is heal for 2 HP, ignoring bio indefinite. Cool. Oh my gosh, I forgot they had. Well, actually, we can retcon that. they have stables, so when that last minion is defeated, they immediately deploy a joust. So it's going to go there. So now it's my turn. It's going to go here. Honestly, I think Berry Brund is, he's gotten his value. So I'm going to have Berry Brund go. Hit the joust for 2, die. And then the joust will activate. Quick strike this. 1 damage. And I get 2 more source. I'll take that extra 2 source. Okay. Retconned. I will keep the result that I rolled, though, for the event die. All right. So, gain 2 source as part of the income phase. Market phase. Let's see, Reap. I don't think I want Reap this late in the game. Slingshot's a great spire. Yeah, I'm going to spend 2 for Slingshot. Okay. Heirs construct stables 2 joust training and roll the die. So this is going to increase the stats of their jousts. They get +1 health. I'll put there. All right. Okay, so I'll build their prep stack. And then I know I'm technically doing this out of order, but you get all of this information up front. So I'm going to just so I can get all of their stuff visualized, and then I can make my decisions accordingly. So joust, Harrier. Oh gosh, why are there so many of them? Harrier. This is wave 3. This scenario has 5 waves. Windrush and Royal Envoy. So that, again, is going to be one of these random face-down market chips. I do not get to look and see which one it is. Harbinger. Oh, gosh. At least I don't have to worry about Roa anymore. That's a benefit. And then, of course, another Royal Talon. Honestly, I should probably build one of my Golgi apparatus spires. So the Golgi one is the one that has essentially like the capture. And what's nice, oh my god, jeez, look. Oh. What's nice about that is if the enemy AI would deploy a unit, but they don't have it in their barracks for whatever reason, it just doesn't deploy. So taking out the Royal Talon with that and getting it captured, honestly, it would have been pretty big. I'm kind of wondering, since I wasn't able to even use the Rancor die or infest Roa, I could have invested that in getting a Golgi up and going. So, yeah. Wish I did that instead. I do get my 4 motility, so I'm up to 5 motility for this wave. All right, build phase. Okay, well, I'm going to get Advanced Biology. That's the one that lets me build my Promoted Spires, so that's 4 source. I will get Reconstruct, which is when a Golgi apparatus or Cytosol Spire is constructed. Nucleus can heal for 1. I will get Haruspice, which is when Nucleus defeats an opposing unit, I may look at an unrevealed landmark. This is not considered exploring. You may then spend 1 motility to explore it. Reason why I'm doing that is because once the Windrush is deployed, I can explore the chip underneath it as if it was a landmark. So this advancement will let me do that even if I'm not adjacent to it, which will be nice because then I can sort of use that to prioritize what I want to do. Let's see here. Do I want anything else? I definitely do. I'm going to get Glial Cells, which is after a Graft Spire is constructed, you may immediately upgrade that Spire once without taking a build action, adding exactly 1 upgrade, ignoring its upgrade capacity. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so I have 3 left. Do I want... No, I probably want to save that so I can get some Spires out. So I have the source already up and running. Okay. All right, so prep phase. It is Ooh, it gives you a nice little bonus here. It ups it 11 command points. So solo also works a bit differently in that the amount of command points you get are bespoke to the individual waves and encounters, unlike PvP where it's 5, 7, 9, 11. So this just bumped up to 4 extra CP. So I'm at 11 CP. So I'm definitely deploying Fury Worm now. And I will equip the Time Vials. So that's 4 command points. So I have 7 more. I think I'm going to do the Spitting Worm because I got it upgraded. It now has 5 range, which is awesome. And then, so that's 9. I have, I will do another Grafted Briar. I did get a promoted Grafted Briar. So I'm going to put the promoted Grafted Briar out as well. And then I have 2 Rotten Worms that cost 0. So I will group 1 under the Grafted Briar and 1 under the Spitting Worm. Okay. Let's see. How do I want to do this arrangement? I think I'm going to do the Spitting Worm in the back and then Fury Worm last. Okay. All right. This wave, I do get to go first. So I'm going to spend 2 motility to increase Nucleus's movement stat by 1, and then 1 more to give it terrain allowance. Now, normally it's forest, but when you promote, that goes up to mountain. So Nucleus can never go over water, but now I can go over mountain for this. So I'm going to go there. Okay. Briar. And then the Fury Worm. I'll just have hang out there. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so Spire's Fire. This refuge is going to attack Nucleus. So it does 2 damage, but again, only lose 1 HP. Right, attack. I'm going to have the Spitting Worm attack the refuge, and then I'm going to have Nucleus defeat it. I get 3 source for that, and I will gain an attack upgrade on Nucleus. Okay, enemies. First one will deploy from a Refuge Spire. Hey, I defeated that Refuge Spire. Also, dang it, I forgot that Refuge Spire is just placed because of setup. It's not on a source well. I was hoping it'd be on a source well. But, oh well. All right, so Joust comes out of this refuge. 1, 2, 3. Then, because there's no more, it'll just come out of the Fortress Gate as normal. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are equidistant, so I can choose 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 2. Gotta get their Elfinkazis out. This is why I'm so excited to get the Spitting Worm, because I will be able to take out these Elfinkazis from very far away. All right. They can't attack anybody, so that's it. So back over to me. Let's see here. Ooh, honestly, I could really make sure to shut this all down. Yeah, I'm going to spend 1 motility to maintain my... so I can keep, move there. All right. Impale. Okay. I'm out of range of those spires, so no Spire's Fire. Okay, so Grafted Briar will hit the Joust for 1. And we'll retaliate for 2. And Spitting Worm. Oh, there it goes. For that. Okay. They're going to go. This Joust, again, keep in mind, he's going for Nucleus, so he was going to go around this way, but now Nucleus is just right here, so he's just going to go like that. And then I can choose which of these to go first. I'll still do the Joust. Yeah, but he's going to end up there. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Oh, that is a mess of... There's so many chips. Okay, so Eager only triggers on, I believe, its minions. I believe that's what Eager What's it do? When this unit attacks a minion, displace the minion. So he's not going to get to do it against Nucleus. He's going to go for Nucleus, though, because it's a Fortress Gate. So that, and then I retaliate. I get 2. And then I get another upgrade. I will get a range upgrade. All right. That is it for them. Okay, so now back to me. Impale. Wow, we're kind of just trapped Fury Worm back here, didn't I? Oh well. All right, Spires, fire. This will be against the Grafted Briar. 2 damage. So that defeats the... And then... Okay. Okay, explore. I'm going to explore this. Yeah, toxic secretion. Okay, now how do I want to do this? I could infest the Joust with the Rotten Worm, but I kind of want to keep that spot blocked so the Joust can't get to Nucleus. Oh, that said, it's just going to Fury Kick and Eager. So never mind, I will. So I'm going to infest. Well, I will actually. So here's the thing you can do. You can attack with the Rotten Worms first and then infest. So you can actually do a double whammy. So I'm going to do that. Spitting Worm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Heck yeah! I will take out that Elfinkazi way back there in its back line. All right, and then Nucleus. Oh, hey, this Joust is at 2 health. Yeah, perfect because of that. Oh, that worked out. I will take out the Joust. So I get 2 source from the Joust plus 2 more because of Bloodthirst. And then Nucleus gets another upgrade. I'm going to take a fortification upgrade. All right, so now their turn. It's going to take 1 from Toxic Secretion. I'll do the other equidistant. Yeah, I'll do that guy first. All right, so Harrier is going to go for Nucleus. I took that. And that's it. Okay. I keep forgetting. I should explore something. I forget to do that. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, did I not take my upgrade for... I did not. Or did I... Yeah, because he was there. Yep, I did not take my attack upgrade. Okay. Okay, my turn. I can't move anywhere. I'm all blocked. Which is a bummer. I was kind of hoping to get Fury Worm past this. But that's a next wave problem. All right, so I think I will use the Spitting Worm to attack this Elfinkazi just to get it out of the picture. That's 2 more source. I will then... Oh, actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I lied. I want to take out this guy because I want to be able to get a Spire here. Yeah, because that is... Yep, so...
Just a time check for you. It is 12:30.
12:30, sounds good. Nucleus defeats 5 source. So I want to be able to actually spend this source. So when I'm going to actually trigger it this time. When Nucleus defeats an opposing unit, I may explore. I'm honestly not going to explore the Windrush because I am not worried about not getting it. So I am going to explore this one because that's still in range of the Spitting Worm, and if it's something good. Do I want to spend 1 motility to reveal that? Yeah, why not? So I'm at 0 motility. Okay, so back to their turn.
they can't move anywhere. Harrier will hit Nucleus. I'm silly. I goofed. I did goof. I'm not going to retcon it. I wasn't supposed to get that attack upgrade. I forgot I got the fortification and then the Harrier removed it. Yeah. Oh well. This guy's dead. All right. It wouldn't have drastically. I wouldn't have been able to flip that guy over. That's the only change. So, but now I would. I would have done it right now then. Okay. So I'm gonna do a limited build action. 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna spend 5 to build a Golgi apparatus spire, which is gonna be attack, range, attack. And then I am going to use the Glial Cells ability. So I'm going to essentially get to upgrade it once for free, which will be 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I will get another attack upgrade because I'm hoping to get some good value from splicing. Okay, when that is constructed, Nucleus gets to heal for 1. There we go. All right. So this guy is going to have to move up, which is a bummer because now this spire will get a chance to attack on it. I'll move Nucleus up and Fury Worm up. So Spire's fire. Ooh, 3 damage. Okay. I think I will go ahead and I'll take out that Elfin Kazi. All right, so their turn. Harrier will quick strike and defeat the Spitting Worm. And then Spire's fire. So this Golgi apparatus is going to fire upon the Harrier. 3 damage, so it is defeated, and then I get to splice it. So it is now under my stack. Okay, then my turn. I'm going to move the Rotten Worm up. And I think I will... I mean, it's going to die right away, so I might as well infest it. I will infest the Harbinger, which will deal 1 damage because infest 1. And I think I'm going to stay put. Yeah, I think I've got a pretty good defensive position here. Okay, I'm going to have the Harbinger go first because they're equidistant, so I can choose. It's going to go there, there. Here we go. All right, Spire's fire against the Harbinger. Hey, those are bad, but 2, that's enough. So I get 2 plus 2 more. Again, because of Bloodthirst. And I splice the Harbinger. Okay. Then my turn. So I'm going to deal 3 damage to it. Okay. That's a nasty hit. That Minaret Spire. Okay. I am going to stay put. Yeah. Okay. So Wind Rush will move up. Harbinger will move up. He'll go there. Spire's fire. I will attack the... Can't attack the Royal Talon because of flying. I don't have air defense on this guy. I'll attack the Wind Rush. 2 damage. Okay, it's going to go for the Fortress Gate. And then the Royal Talon will go for the Fury Worm. Oh. That is rough. Okay. All right. So then my turn. Oh, I can kill the. So I will. Oh, but I have. Okay. I'm at 3 escaped. Yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go there, there. I will then actually explore this to take a look. It is an elite duelist. I don't want to fight an elite duelist. So honestly, I'm going to just let that Windrush escape. Let's see. That does actually bring up an important note I think I have to make for myself, that the Windrush cannot be spliced. Well, actually, no, it can be. But then it's if the Windrush is spliced, the Royal Envoy will not deploy. Which means you'd actually miss your chance of completing that objective, so you don't want to splice the Windrush. I think that'll be the better way to do it. So I am not going to, I don't want to trap that Windrush there because I don't want to splice it. All right. Okay, so because of Grafted Snare, flying is now turned off on my turn. So Nucleus can attack the Royal Talon, and will do so, defeating it. I am capped out at source. Sadly, nowhere to build. Okay, so then this guy is going to run away and escape. So they're up to 4. And then the Harbinger will get up to there to me. Golgi Apparatus Spire spliced. So that's huge. That's 3 minions I have in that Spire that might impact their next deployment. Okay, wave 4. So it says place a gate port on hex D, moving any unit or spire currently there to the closest available non-path hex. So I have to look at the map here to find out which one is hex D. Hex D is right here. Hey, that's actually, oh, yeah. Okay, so that, and then this says it moves any unit or spire currently there to the closest available non-path hex. Honestly, I'm going to move it here so that I can just swarm it right away. Oh, no, because they're going to deploy a joust first from here. 1, 2, 3. So, no, I'm going to move it over there. Okay, so now essentially that is where the Harriers and Windrush are going to try and go. So the gate ports are popping up closer to their base, so you really have to be encroaching faster and faster if you want a chance for them to not escape. Okay, I no longer roll the event die, so I don't get those bonuses. I gain 2 source. I'm capped out. I do gain my motility, though, so I'm back up to 4. And market phase. Ooh, I do like Lawndale. Yeah, I'll buy Lawndale. Okay. Heirs construct a refuge spire on the closest available source well to Nucleus. Okay. So it's an AARF. Closest available source well is this one over here. I'm not worried about that. Okay. And then they've got Joust Joust. Classic. They do re-roll this die. Nothing. I don't think I applied that. I'm going to say that I missed that last time. I'm cheating. I'm going to say I rolled a miss last time, and now I got the +1 health. So they are at 5 health. It's a lot harder to do when you're on a... When I'm performing, yeah. All right. Okay. So Joust, Joust, Harrier, Harrier. How many Harriers? They still do have 2 Harriers, so sadly I don't get a benefit from that yet. Harrier, Harrier. Windrush, Royal Envoy. Harbinger, Harbinger. They don't have any more of those, so that's nice. And then a Royal Talon. Okay. There we go. Oh, the Harriers. Okay. So my build phase, I have 16 here to build. Do they deploy? This is wave 4, right? Oh, they also deploy Darb. Promoted Darb at the bottom. I'll just put them there for now because I don't want to lift that up again. Okay. I am going to buy Autophagy, which is a motility effect nucleus gains that allows it to destroy your own spires and either heal or send the graft units in it back to the barracks on their promoted side. You get to heal 1 HP for every 2 upgrades under the spire. So if I were to do that to this guy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that'd be 6. So that'd be 3 health that Nucleus gets to heal for destroying that spire. Even though it would give them those units back. I'm going to get Metabolic Energy, which will increase my motility reservoir cap to 15 and immediately give me 4 upon purchasing. So now I'm at 8. And I think the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to... Actually, no, that's it. I really want to try and get rid of that Rift Walk as soon as possible. So I'm going to try and save some so that I can get rid of it. Because you need 6 source to get rid of the landmark. Okay. All right, I think that's it. So 13 command points this time. I will do my 1 under Londil. Oh, 13. That is a lot. Do I have anyone who can... I don't have anyone who can go over the water because that Joust is going to go right there. Hopefully this Golgi can defeat it beyond and also get hit. Okay, so that's 1. So that means I have 12 left. I'll do my Spitting Worm again. So that's 5. So 7 left. I'll do a Grafted Aegis. And another Rotten Worm. And then a Grafted Briar. I'll group the worm under the Aegis. Let's see. I will start with the Grafted Briar. There we go. Okay. All right. They go first, wave 4. The Joust will jump out of here. 1, 2, 3. 3. And then Darb. Darb, like Roa, is going to go for the closest Graft Spire and then towards Nucleus, which honestly will be kind of helpful. All right, so Joust will hit me for 1 because of Quick Strike, and then Spire's Fire. So 3 dice. 1, 2, 3. Okay, yes, that's enough for what I needed to do. All right, because it's not dead, but I'm going to deploy my Grafted Briar, which now it ended its movement adjacent to a unit it didn't start adjacent to because it was not even in play yet, which will kill it. That gives me 2, which means I can then deploy my Grafted Aegis there, spend 6 source to blow up that gate port. Edible Bribery. After one of your unit's movements, put a revealed landmark minion adjacent to one of your units into your barracks. You may select it for 2 command points. I don't really think I need that, so I'm going to sell that for 4 source instead. Okay, and then the worm. And then Londil, who I will send. Oh, he's only got one attack. I'm gonna send him this way. All right. Okay, Spire's Fire. These 2 refuges are gonna go against the Aegis. So that was a 1 and a miss. So Armored will prevent 1 of that. So nothing. Now this one, the Minaret. Oof. 1 and a 2. So prevent 1. So 2 damage. Like that. Okay. Then I'm gonna explore. Explore this. Source Geyser. Ooh. That'd be good to get Nucleus over to. That's for sure. Yeah, I'll reveal that and try to get Nucleus over there. Okay, enemy turn. Let's see, which one of these do I want to go first? Oh, they're gonna just both go there. All right, I'll just do the Joust first. Okay. All right. Now, so enemy heroes also have like a Spire priority 1, which is dictated by the scenario. So Darb's not going to just try to attack the Grail Wolves as much as I would like him to. But let's see. Okay. So quick strikes. Joust will go first, and it'll use Eager to displace and then attack everyone adjacent to it, which is a bummer because this guy dies. And then also the Spitting Worm takes that damage. Okay, and it doesn't take any retaliation because its original target died. Then the Harrier is going to eat the Rotten Worm. Okay, there we go. My turn. I don't think I can get Nucleus over there. Oh gosh, the Fury Worm is stuck. Oh, I got myself in a pickle. All right. Oh, and then Spires will fire though on the Joust because the quick strike's over. 4 damage. Ooh, I do like that. That's very nice. Okay. Let's see here. I don't need to hit that guy from that far away. Okay, I'm gonna do a limited build action. I'm gonna build another Golgi apparatus. So that's 5, and that's a. Oh no. Oh no, are we out of attack? Uh-oh. I'm not going to do that because it looks like we're out of attack upgrades. So that's rough. Okay. All right. Not going to do that. Yeah. Well, let's see here. What can I do? Darb's going to go there, and he'll just kill the Fury Worm, which I don't like. So I'm going to move the Fury Worm there, and then I'll just use him to infest Darb. I think it's a lost cause to try and have him do more. Let's see here. I think I'm going to have Wandil come back around this way. Yeah, there. All right, these guys are stuck. They can't move. So Spitting Worm, I will have go for the Joust. I get 2. All right. Their turn, Harrier. Quick Strike. Defeats my Spitting Worm. And now Spire's Fire. Ooh, 2 damage. Dang it. All right. Okay. My turn. Impale. So I'll defeat the Harrier. Get 1 source. I will use the rotten or the fury worm to infest Darb, which will deal 1 damage. And then that, yeah, this is just gone. And then also, because Darb is now considered grouped for the purposes of like talents, flying no longer does anything. So I could hit it with both Londel and Nucleus. I don't think I want to, though. I am going to spend 2 motility to increase Nucleus so I can get back over to the Source Geyser and start healing. Darb's going to go there. It's going to hit. Yeah, I'll leave it for now. Okay. All right, so their turn. I'll have the Wind Rush go first. Okay, Spire's Fire. 1 damage. So it's going to attack. Now, this is where it would lose 2 HP because it's infested and then like hemorrhage, but then because dodge will kick in, which will mean it flips instead of dying. All right. Okay. That was also the start of the round because they go first, so actually Nucleus gets to heal. Now, normally Fountain heals for 2, but again, bio-indefinite, restricting the number of chips that can be removed or added. Okay, back to me. Got the Grafted Briar here. Let's see. I don't think I did not roll. Sorry, I didn't resolve their thing yet. So hold on. Golgi Apparatus against the Wind Rush. 3/4. Oh, that's nervous. I do not. Well, maybe I want to splice it depending on what's underneath. And then the Wind Rush will attack the Grafted Briar, which will retaliate and defeat it. And it's a convict. Okay. All right. Okay, which means the last wave will have Graft Lord Nestor, which is a bit of a bummer that I can't get his value earlier, but it is nice that I had all of this time to prepare for it.
12:56.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. I mean, we could always call it at the end of this wave if we wanted.
Just try to wrap it in the next 15 if you can.
That's going to be tough. There's still one more wave.
Be speedy.
Oh, gosh. Okay, I'll be speedy. My turn. Grafted Briar will hit the convict. And Londel will defeat Darb. Still can't get an attack upgrade because there are no more. Okay. Let's see here. Their turn. They're all stuck except for this guy. Golgi Apparatus. I'll have go. I guess the convict is the only one in range. Battle Hardened reduces it by 2. I rolled 3, so it's still dead. And then the Royal Talon will attack and remove that. I get 3 for killing that guy. Okay, back to my turn. This guy then he would heal because of Fountain. Okay, now this guy's gonna go. He's gonna impale. Oh, jeez. Yeah, whatever. Spire's Fire. This one against the Grafted Briar. 2 damage is dead. This one against Londel. 2 damage. Attack. Then we'll get retaliated against before it gets a chance to leech. So that's rough, but I am sort of playing a little bit quicker here. All right. Their turn. Nucleus heals for 1 because of the start. There. Okay, quick strike, kill the rotten worm. this against the Harrier. All right. Okay, I'm going to use 2 motility to increase my movement stat by 1. I'm going to go there. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just move the 1 and displace the flying unit. And then I will attack the flying unit. 3. Retaliates for 1. Then on my turn, it's going to stay there. Or on its turn, and it's going to heal for 2 because of the fountain. This will attack it. And it's dead. All right. So that is the end of wave 4. What you thinking? Are there any questions, I guess? Like, do I want to reserve the last wrap-up time for questions or play through the last wave?
Do a 1 second poll.
Because I won't probably be able to get through the last wave. That being said, they're going to have significantly fewer units because so many of them are in this stack. However, I do still have to destroy their fortress gate, so I need to be very aggressive in this last push. We've got dead air, Santoro. What are we going to do? The question is too long. What do you mean the question is too long? If you have any questions about the graft, I'm going to just say drop them in the chat, and Andrew will relay them over to me. Yeah.
Everyone's saying play the wave.
Everyone's saying play the wave? Okay, I'll get started. All right, we are going to speed through this. All right, the last one. Place a gate port on hex G.
We're unlikely to finish the wave as we have a 20-strong stream at 1:30, and we will probably want to eat food.
I do like eating food.
Before then.
Yep.
So.
Okay, I'm not going to buy anything in the market. I am literally probably just going to buy everything. Oh, they do build another refuge, but I don't think there's any more refuge chips. I think they're all in use, so.
Is there a way to have a scenario where the graft is a boss?
Yes, some of the Harbinger ones. I think I know of at least one. I think one of the stretch goals is another, and then one of the last ones is. So I think there's actually 3. One more of those might be a stretch goal. I'm not 100% sure. But yes, there is ones with the graft as the boss. All right. And then they reroll this. 2 health.
I'm going to give you a cutoff in about 10 minutes.
Okay.
So we'll get food and we'll come back at 1:30. Make sure you're following along in that 1:30 stream if you want to see 20 strong.
All right, so they got the Joust, Windrush, Harrier, but I think there's only one Harrier chip left. So, Harrier. Harbinger, I've got those, and I've got the Royal Talent. So then the last one is just Promoted Keem. So yeah, this is where using Splice aggressively is very important in this scenario, because otherwise it's almost impossible to keep up with how much they're sending out at you. All right, and then I am going to build, I'll get the modular functions die, which is one where when my spires attack, I get to roll it and do stuff. I get my motility back, so I'm at 10. I will get, I'll get Mindbreaker, which is the one that lets me, when Nucleus or a Merc hero defeats an opposing unit, I can take over that, or opposing hero, I get to take over that hero. I'll buy that as well. I'll buy Autotomy, which is when Nucleus would lose HP. I can lose an upgrade chip instead. And heck, I'll buy Cytokinesis, which is when I build a Spire with Organelle, I can put a Graft minion from my barracks of 4 CP or lower under it. This is removed. Okay. And in wave 5, I get to go first. So I have 15 command points. So fun fact, Fury Worm, because of Infest, never actually died because I infested something, so it goes back to my barracks. So I will actually deploy Fury Worm again. So I have 11 left. Let's see, I kind of want to get that Elfinkazi out right away. So I'm going to do another Grafted Briar. So that's 6. 6 plus 5 is 11 with another Spitting Worm. And I've got 4 left. Let's see. I'll do a Grafted Aegis again. I'll do Warbriar, Aegis, Spitting Worm, Fury Worm. Okay. All right. So, gonna start my turn here. So I get to go first. I'm gonna spend 4 motility to move Nucleus up to there. And then I'm going to Impale, kill the Elfinkazi. Oh, this is going to be bad. Uh-oh. This is going to be really bad. All right, Spire's Fire. I shouldn't have done this. Okay, they are actually going to prioritize because Spires typically can't normally prioritize Fortress Gates. So they're going to just treat Nucleus like a hero in this context. So they go for a hero it can defeat, a minion it can defeat, a hero it can damage, a minion can damage. Okay. And I'm trying to remember if they care about talents with that. I don't think so. But again, if I'm wrong about that, like I can't. I'm trying to remember if they care about armored, for example, versus bio-indefinite. I don't think so. But could be wrong. I'm going to play it as if they do. So Refute, in which case these are all going against Nucleus. Hey, double miss. Okay, nothing against Nucleus for the Refuge. Minaret. 1. Then the Regal Lookout. Yeah, because 1, 2, 3. Yep. 1 more. I am going to remove an attack upgrade. I believe that does cost me 1 motility. I do get to move, though, when I do that. I don't actually... Yeah, I do want to. Okay, so I don't lose that health. And then this one, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it has range on all of these. I'll go for it. I'll have it go for the Grafted Briar. 1 damage. Okay. So, attacks. This guy can't really do anything because it's... So this guy will remove 1 of those. And I'll have the Spitting Worm attack that to lessen its range. Okay. It's going to go. Oh gosh. Okay. Eager and Quick Strike. Oh, this is where it all falls apart. And I attack, I retaliate. Eager. 2
minute mark.
Oh gosh, well I think I'm gonna lose here, so yeah, because like Wind Rush will kill that, Harrier will kill that, Keem will kill that. I am out of minions and all I have left is Nucleus, and I'm gonna get swarmed.
What did you learn?
I learned honestly. I got stuck here for way too long. I think that's what I learned. is don't get stuck there for so long. It is a choke point.
You got bottlenecked.
I got bottlenecked real bad, and then when I needed to be incredibly aggressive in the last wave, I couldn't. So yeah, but there we go.
Right.
Yeah, that's rough. Like I could last a little while, but there's no way I'm winning this.
Do a bit of a wrap up of the stream and then send them over to.
Yeah, so that will conclude for the Graft stream. Hopefully this sort of gave a good idea of what they kind of do. Again, we will be doing the 3-player PvP stream, so you'll get a chance to see them in PvP and how they hold up in that situation. And yeah, we'll be back at 1:30, I believe, for the 20-strong Cloudspire deck. We're going to go get some food and then hop on back. Bye.